All right, namaste everyone, and thank you for your patience. Okay, because I'm really facing some audio and video problems. Anyways, uh, so we've been covering the dashas, the mahadashas basically, and we have covered Jupiter Mahadasha in the last class. So today we'll be covering Venus Mahadasha. Okay, and let's begin the class with the usual Shanti mantra from the Upanishads. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunakatu Sah Vidyankar Vavahai Tejasvinadaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Okay, so Venus runs its Mahadasha for for 20 long years. Okay, it is the longest running Mahadasha. There's various reasons why why Parashara has assigned 20 years to Venus. Okay, the first reason being this is the Venus actually rules the second and the seventh house of of Kalpurush. Okay, so what happens is when this Mahadasha comes, it's about it's about building the family. It's also about when you build the family, you have to start with your spouse. Okay, so this is this takes time. Okay, this takes time, and you get a good period of 20 years to do this. Okay, and unless and until Venus is afflicted, or if unless and until Venus is the eighth lord, then this Mahadasha is is a very pleasant experience. Okay, but if Venus is afflicted, especially in the Navamsha, this Mahadasha can be very, very turbulent. Okay, so we know that Venus is the planet of beauty, love, and luxury. Okay, it is also the planet representing art, culture, and cinema. So in this 20-year period, as I said, it's a period where if Venus is well placed, you will feel extremely joyful, playful, and most of all passionate, not only regarding the opposite gender, but also regarding all the things that you take up. Okay, now this passion transforms into creativity. All right, you will find a way to transform your passion into creativity, and this is a time, suppose if you are working in a very monotonous job like a tax accountant, okay, you will feel that you need to get a hobby of crafting or sewing. Okay, so Venus also represents your liquid cash. Okay, it also represents your liquid cash. So many people, they lean towards currency trading and cash business during this Mahadasha. Okay, and usually you would find yourself investing in some expensive items which are which are highly luxurious. Okay, for example, you might be, all that you might be needing would be a regular phone, but then you will end up buying an iPhone and similar like that. Okay, so Venus is also the karaka for branded clothes and branded shoes. Okay, so the native will be particularly interested in these things, okay, during this Mahadasha. All right, and depending upon the position of Venus and the Navamsha, okay, love and relationships can become a really, really important part of your life, either in a positive sense or a negative sense. Okay, for example, if Venus is afflicted in a, say, in a fire Navamsha, then all of a sudden you'll start feeling an aversion for your partner, or maybe for the opposite gender. Similarly, if Venus is it is well placed in a water sign, then you'll have the best time of your life in your relationships. Okay, degree matters when degree matters if you look at when you will get the results, either in the first part, in the middle part, or in the last part. That is the only time when degree matters. Okay. So if the planet is 0 degrees in a, in a odd sign, then you'll start getting results during the last part. Okay. Yes. Rahu Dasha is required. Okay. It happens within around the 10th year of Venus Mahadasha. Okay. Rahu Anta Dasha is always required to activate this Dasha. Okay. So that's how it works. So Venus represents our bhakti. Okay. Venus represents our bhakti. Okay. Not bhakti towards God, but bhakti towards your passion. Okay. It represents your devotion to someone or something. Okay. And if Venus is badly placed, then you will feel very null and lethargic. Okay. All right. So this has activated basically. Twinkle J. Okay. It has activated. Yeah. And why this happens is because Venus is the princess. Okay. In Vedic astrology, just like moon represents the queen, Venus represents the princess. Okay. And since Venus is a princess, the princess wants to get things with ease. Okay. And wants to get things with when he wants, or sorry, when she wants, or how she wants. Yes. It'll be a period which will feel like, oh my God, I want a glass of water and don't want to get someone, please get me a glass of water. Okay. It is that period. Okay. But then, as I said, if Venus is a functional malefic in the chart, it can bring hardship. Okay. And it can bring turmoil if it is not in its own sign or in a friendly alignment. All right. So this is another secret. Okay. So people say that malefics do well in the Dushthanas. Okay. This is not true. Okay. Functional malefics will do well in the Dushthanas. All right. So if Venus is the 6th lord in your chart, okay, suppose Venus is the 6th lord in the chart, then it is better if it is placed in the Dushthanas. Okay. Or if Mercury is the 8th lord in the chart, it is better if it is placed in the Dushthanas. Okay. So functional malefics do well in the Dushthanas. Not all malefics do well in the Dushthanas. Yeah. So remember this rule. Okay. Now, as I said, if it is a functional malefic and if it is not in a friendly alignment, Venus can give really, really bad results. Okay. But then if you are already in the field of arts, culture, or hospitality or luxury, then even if it is a functional malefic, it can produce great results for you in this Mahadasha. Okay. Now, the peculiar thing about Venus Mahadasha is it will make you do that work about which you are passionate. Okay. Venus has this what to say, Venus has this belief. Yes. Wherever there is a flow of energy, there is a flow of prosperity. Okay. So even if you are doing something that you don't like, right? I know a lot of people who work in MNCs, but they don't like what they are doing. So if you are doing something of that sort, if you don't like your work, whatever work you are doing, you can actually be forced out of that work. Venus Mahadasha can actually pull you out of that work. Okay. And we know that there are too many people without interest and without motivation or passion in life. Okay. Why? Because, Venus is afflicted. Okay. And this affliction is present in most of the charts in Kali Yuga. Okay. That is the reason you see people running only after money and not after passion. Okay. So this is due to the position of their Venus. All right. And if Venus, as I said, if Venus is badly placed, it not only makes them demotivated, it also makes them unwilling to do things to make, to get things done in order to make things move. Okay. So how do you know whether Venus is well placed or badly placed? Check for the position of Venus in the D1, then look at D9. Okay. And finally look at D60. And the best position for Venus is to be in the water sign. Okay. The best position for Venus is to be in water sign, even if it is Scorpio. Okay. Even if it is Scorpio, Venus will do really, really good in the water sign. Okay. So check for the position of Venus in all the 3 charts. All right. D1, D9, and D60, because this is a really long period of 20 years and you want at least 50% of the period to go your way. All right. Now let's run through Venus, in the houses. Okay. So Venus has only one aspect, which is the seventh aspect. Yes. So the first house. Yes. So for 20 years, the native will find themselves concentrating on their appearance, body, status, finding admiration from others and wanting to look beautiful. Okay. And, relationships or sexual encounters is expected for most of the natives. Okay. Now this sexual encounters will not happen if the native enters Venus Mahadasha into after 70 years, right? But they will try to explore their passion and creativity. Okay. And since Venus is the natural karaka of luxury, okay, of wealth, arts, okay, so the native will find himself or herself indulging in activities where they will seek immense pleasure through material wealth and relationships. And if Venus is well placed, for example, if Venus is exalted or in its own sign or in Pushkar Navamsha or even Vargottama, okay, then the native will actually attract people to themselves along with wealth. Okay. Now Venus can be, Venus can be debilitated too. Okay. But as I said, debilitated Venus can bring hard times in relationships. But it will be, it'll be great for authentic, it'll be great for authentic love if the native has authentic love for the arts, for media, for creativity and the performing arts. Okay. So now Venus in the seventh house, the aspect of Venus in the seventh house, it will bring a loving nature towards meeting other people and strangers with whom the native can have a harmonious relationship. And sexual encounters with strangers is also very common. Okay. And the seventh house, as we know, it is the mirror of the first house. So since it's a mirror of ourselves, it will show that one will seek things related to the condition of Venus. Okay. What do I mean by that? I mean that if the Venus is in a good position, then the native will seek beautiful, compassionate, and balanced people. Okay. But if Venus is in a really bad shape, in a bad condition, then one will be attracted to harsh or rude or, extra sexual and rude personalities. Okay. So, whatever it is, the good or bad condition of Venus, it represents the values that we hold in terms of sexuality. Okay, what are the values, what are the values we hold while seeking sexual partners? Do we seek, do we seek assholes or do we seek bitches? That is, that represents, that value is represented by Venus. Okay. Now, Venus in the second house, good position for Venus to be. Okay, because here the 20 years will bring great love for being near the family, enjoying family assets, wealth, food, and love. Okay, there will also be, since the second house is the house of food and drinks, there will also be a great need to indulge in eating sweets, drinking wine, collecting art, or even earning money through through art or art galleries and things like that. Okay. And if Venus is not aspected or conjunct by a by a malefic, the native's voice will become very, very smooth. Okay. And money and wealth will come fairly easily. If Venus is well placed, okay, money and wealth will come fairly easily. And the earning of the native will mainly be through currency, through art, pleasure, leisure, or food, even food. Okay, you might find yourself opening a restaurant if you have this combination. Okay, and if Venus is aspected by Mars, you can actually find yourself as the cook of that restaurant. Okay, maybe you're starting a cloud kitchen in your area. All right, and your spouse during this period will be attached to your family than his or her own family. Venus is in second house in both D1 and D9, but it is debilitated in D1. It's fine. Okay, as long as the planet is not debilitated in D9, it is fine. Okay, in D1, any planet can be debilitated, not a problem. Okay, but it should not be debilitated in D9. Then the problem starts. right? Uh, so as I said, the spouse will be more interested in your family than his or her own family. Okay. And yeah, so I don't know if I should be mentioning this, but if someone marries during this dasha when Venus is in the second house, the wife can actually bring a lot of wealth. Okay, you've seen those people, the boy was in a very bad condition. It happens in India. People in India would know the boy is in a very bad condition, and then the spouse brings everything, including the car and lots of gold and cash. And then all of a sudden, the boy starts a business and then he becomes super rich. Okay, so this is a very, happy rags to riches story that happens in India. Okay, so this is when it happens. If you have Venus in the second house, and if you are marrying during this period. Yeah. Now, this aspect of Venus on the eighth house, it actually brings harmony and lovable relationships with in-laws, okay, and a sense of comfort in their company. And there is there will be a secret tendency to enjoy and receive other people's wealth, and interest hunts for treasure which are hidden. Okay. Now, if Venus has a damaged dignity, if Venus is in bad dignity, then what might have secret affairs with someone in the spouse family, or maybe addicted to sexual affairs. You've seen how those Jija Sali relationships work, all the scandals break out. Yeah. So it's a laughable condition, but it can be very harsh on the family in which it occurs. Okay. Now, Venus is also the Karaka for Tantra. Okay. So it brings a lot of interest in the occult. Okay. Especially after Rahu Antardasha, it brings a lot of interest in the occult. Okay. And the native can also earn money by doing occult rituals for others if Venus is influencing the eighth house in some way. Okay. Just hold on. My audio is collapsing again. Just hold on. Venus, the Karaka of Tantra, it's Rahu, I guess. No, it's not Rahu, Twinkleji. It's always Venus. Okay. It is the Daitya Guru who teaches the Tantra. Okay. That is the reason you have two gurus, Deva Guru and the Daitya Guru. Jupiter represents the Vedic way, Venus represents the Tantric way. Okay. All right. So Venus in the third house, not a very good position for Venus to be, but then it is excellent for creativity. Okay, because the third house is the original house of Gemini. Okay, and Mercury is the great friend of Venus. Okay, so during this period, the natives will find themselves getting passionate towards media, performing arts, writing, journalism, marketing, PR work, traveling, and healing people. Because why healing? Because the third house is the eighth from the eighth house. So it shows dealing with the emergencies of people. Okay. Now, third house is also the, it is also the house of adultery. Okay. So the relationships might come like a train for a single person. One relationship starts and then it ends and then another relationship starts. Okay. So this is a condition where, where the native will experience or might experience very frequent relationships or breakups before marriage. Okay. And during this period, the native, if the the native might be, suppose this dasha occurs in a young age for a native, then this period can actually bring a younger female sibling for the native. Okay, because the third house is the house of the, of the younger sibling. Okay, and the third house is the, it is also the karaka for building your own luck. Okay, so what happens is the native will try to, what to say, will try to build his or her own luck through Venusian activities. Okay, now Venus aspects the ninth house from this position. Okay, so the ninth house is the house of long distance travels, but those travels will mainly be for, for pleasure. Okay, or for studying art and culture. Okay, and as I said, because Venus is the karaka for art and culture, so one will find great passion and love for studying, observing, and interacting with people of different cultures and ethnic backgrounds. You may actually find yourself getting into a relationship with people or with someone from different ethnic background from yours. Okay, but then if Venus is well placed, then the natives will broaden their horizon during this time about the ethnic views of the world. And because the ninth house is the house of father, so the father will, if Venus is well placed, and if the ninth lord is well placed, then there will be great love and comfort given to the native by the father. Okay, and ninth house is also the house of higher learning. So higher learning may involve arts, may involve the study of sperm, DNA, and may also involve women. Okay, how do what women want? Yes. So that will be an incomplete higher learning basically, because no one really knows what women want. But anyways, all right then. So Venus in the fourth house, excellent position for Venus to be in. Okay, and this is one of the best positions for Venus to get great results. Okay, if Venus is is well placed in the Navamsha in D9, no sorry, in D60. So Venus gets Digbala, and this is the place where Venus expresses itself through creative output. Okay, and during this period, the native will try to give comfort, or will try to gain comfort by its maximum capacity by by expecting love and compassion from the mother. Okay, even family members. All right, and the native may end up buying cars or fixed assets like houses and landed properties. Okay, but most importantly, the fourth house is the peace of mind. All right, so if you have to see the peace of mind of a native, you have to look at the fourth house. Okay, if the fourth house is afflicted, okay, if the fourth house has very low points in the Ashtak Varga, then the peace of mind is gone. Okay, the peace of mind is gone, absolutely gone. Yes, so you have to look at the fourth house to see the peace of mind of the native. And if Venus is well placed in the fourth house, this 20-year-old period will be a excellent period for the native. Okay, so just to give you an example, my fourth house has 42 points in the Ashtak Varga. Okay, and nothing can disturb my peace of mind. Okay, my spouse really literally cries when I don't fight back with her. Okay, so I know how it works. Yeah, now if Venus is debilitated in the fourth house, then what happens is you will still be able to attain the material pleasures, because what happens is if you have a debilitated planet in Kendra, it will give you the material aspect but rob you of the spiritual parts. Okay, it will rob you of, it will not give you the spiritual part. So you might not be well versed in spirituality, but you'll still find material pleasures. Okay, now Venus aspects the 10th house. All right, so because it aspects the 10th house, so it shows that the native will seek creative output in career and will be engaged in improving the career by bringing the zeal of creativity. Okay, and what it also shows is the native might find himself or herself working under female bosses. Okay, but then the work the work environment will be very, very pleasant. Yes. And Venus will also show, Venus will also show that the native will find it very, very difficult to do mundane work, or work which is dry and uncreative. For example, managing accounts or managing ledgers. These are very, these are very monotonous jobs which do not involve creativity. So if the native is doing such jobs, okay, I don't have Venus in fourth house. I'm just saying about my Ashtak Varga points in the fourth house. Okay. Yeah, I have Venus in the seventh house. Okay, I have Mars, Venus, and Moon all together stashed in the seventh house. Yeah. So, if you're doing work which is mundane, which is very dry, which is very uncreative, you will try to do your own business or look for work opportunities in a more creative and friendly environment. For example, most of us have seen how the Google workplace looks like. It's very fun. It looks like fun. It looks like very friendly. It looks like a very creative environment. Okay, so you'll seek out those workplaces. Yes, and we all know how the present workplace of Twitter looks like after Musk took over. So we'll try to leave those places. Okay, I found a good example. Yeah. Anyways, so Venus in the fifth house. So this position of Venus is all about creative self-expression. Okay, and this period, because the fifth house is the house of romance, so it'll feel like God is writing a romantic novel by taking you as a central character. Okay, and the period will be very spicy, very juicy, and you'll feel that, oh my God, if Venus is well placed in an Navamsha, you'll feel that, oh my God, my God is making a masterpiece through me. Okay, but then this is also the this is Venus in the fifth house and D60. Okay. So you'll feel that your life is a movie, Shannon. It'll be filled with ups and downs and everything. Yeah. So filled with ups and downs and everything. But anyways, it's a very romantic period to be in. Yeah, that is the reason I've slowed down my voice. You see, I'm talking in a very smooth way, just because Venus has reached the fifth house. Yeah, and fifth house is my favorite house because it is also the house of Purva Punya. But if it is afflicted, then it's game over. Okay, Gaya comes in. So of all the houses under affliction, I prefer the fifth house not to be under real affliction. Okay, because if the fifth house is afflicted, mantras will not work for you. If the sun is afflicted, mantras will not work for you. Okay, so now the most logical of all people, you've seen how there are people who are very dry and very logical. Maybe they appear as if they have no emotional output or whatever. Okay, so even the most logical people will surrender to the artistic side of displacement. Okay, and the native will find happiness and wealth after childbirth. Okay, and if you are just married, or if your spouse is expecting during the Mahadasha of Venus in the fifth house, then you can expect to have the coming child as a girl. Okay, so one will also be acquiring skills as a salesman, as a performer and gambler. And fifth house is also the house of speculation. Okay, so the native will actually take risks and derive pleasure out of it. Can you imagine? Okay, so the native will take risks only for pleasure, not for kicks and winning. Okay, we take risks for getting that kick, right? But then you will all of a sudden you will find yourself taking risks for the sake of pleasure. Yes. So Venus aspecting the 11th house, it shows passion and interest towards increasing friends or increasing your network circle, and seeking pleasure and romantic encounters. Okay, and you can also find people getting suddenly rich because your elder siblings have given them a share in their property and things like that. Okay, the 11th house is the house of hopes and wishes and desires. So Venus looks to fulfill those hopes and desires by the creative side. Okay, and this period, because it is the 11th house, is also the house of networks. So this period will be all about social events. Okay, and those social events can be anything. It could be a fun-based social event, it could be a spiritual social event, it could be a business-oriented event. Okay, it could be a creative event. All right. Then Venus in the 6th house. Just a minute here. Okay. So Venus in the 6th house. I hope I'm being audible. If the audio goes out, just let me know. Okay, guys. So, difficult position for Venus to be in. Okay. But then 6th house is the house of, of helping people out, of, the 6th house is the house of people who are below you in status. So this Dasha will actually ignite the desire to give compassion and love for those who are underprivileged. Okay. You'll try to make friends out of enemies. Okay. But, Venus does not get comfortable in doing routine tasks because the 6th house is the house of your daily routine. Okay. So it's like taking a princess out of her room and putting her in the middle of a war zone. Okay. What will the princess do? The princess will simply run to a safe place for protection than picking up a weapon. Okay. So just think about how the princess will behave if thrown into the war zone. Yes. The 6th house is the house of war. Okay. More than the 7th house, the 6th house is the house of war. So this princess will realize that it is her duty for 20 years, yes, to be in the war zone. So what she will do is that instead of shooting someone, she will try to help the wounded and giving all her love to them. Okay. Now this placement of Venus places, it will produce some of the best artists because, you can reflect the everyday struggle of life through your art and creativity. You've seen how, how some art and creative works are so very sad. Yes, those images crying out for help and these things. So this is actually 6th house Venus. Yes. So the lesson is to find beauty in the gutter. Okay, this is the lesson. Okay, the lesson is to find beauty in the gutter. And once you find that beauty, okay, once you find that beauty, life will begin to flourish. Okay. So some people say that Krishna had 6th house Venus. Okay. So the chart of Krishna that I have, yes, it does not show that, Krishna had Venus in the 6th house. But some astrologers say that Krishna had 6th house Venus. So what did Krishna do? Krishna followed a very creative way of making Arjuna fight in that war of Mahabharata. Okay, and that creative part is known as Bhagavad Gita if you look at it. Yes. So what he did, he created a rose out of that cactus in the war zone. Okay. The 6th house is also the house of disputes. It is the house of fights and enemies and sickness. Okay. So how will you find happiness during this dasha? If someone has a 6th house Venus, if you treat others, facing those problems, if you help others, in their fights, in their deaths, basically, in their sickness, then you will find happiness. Okay, don't run away from those problems. Okay. Now, Venus is also the karaka of vehicles. So if you have a very nice vehicle and then you are driving it, you can get a bump and scratch for all of a sudden. Okay. And the 6th house is also, the house of accidents. Okay. So if Venus has bad dignity, it can bring accidents. Okay. Now the aspect of Venus from the 6th house is on the 12th house. So what it shows is there is a mission or there is a desire to find enlightenment, peace and isolation after the war. Okay. Why does this happen? It happens because only when you see the ugly side of war or crime or struggle, only then you can hope to find peace somehow. Okay. And this 20-year period of Venus, it will enable the native to find passion and beauty in foreign places and ashrams because the 12th house represents those places. Okay. All right then. Venus in the 7th house. Yes. So good position for Venus to be in, first of all. But the focus during the dasha will be mainly on marriage, partnerships, business, and dealing with masses of people. Okay. So some people will say that Karaka Bhavanashaya concept works here, because Venus is the Karaka for the seventh house, but it does not happen that way. Okay, Karaka Bhavanashaya is a different concept. Okay, I've explained that in the past as well. Okay, Karaka Bhavanashaya is not when the Karaka of a house sits in the Karaka in the same house. Okay, for example, Mars being the Karaka of the third house, sitting in the third house does not imply Karaka Bhavanashaya. Okay, Karaka Bhavanashaya happens when the house is afflicted, the planet sitting in that house is afflicted, and the Karaka of that house is afflicted. Okay, that is real Karaka Bhavanashaya. Otherwise, it does not happen. Okay. But anyways, if there are no malefic aspects on Venus, okay, or if Venus is not, if Venus is well placed in the divisional charts, it's a very good position for Venus to be in. Okay, and this is, in my opinion, this is the most comfortable house for Venus, because Venus represents dealing with the other people. Okay, so the seventh house is the house of the other people. So Venus finds very, very, Venus is very, very comfortable in this house. And this period of Venus is best suited for business and managing the ins and outs of marriage and partnership. Okay, there will be, if Venus is well placed in the D9 and the D60, there will be a lot of harmony in the life of the native. Okay, now this Venus aspects the ascendant, and what will happen is the person will try to spend more time with their spouse. Okay, nurturing the relationship. Or if the person is not married, yes, if the person is not married, okay, then he or she might find himself or herself simply doing business. Okay, and the more the native meets new and creative people, the more the native will improve his or her outlook on life. Okay, it's about feeling beautiful. The lesson in this in this period or in this dasha is about feeling beautiful about yourself. Okay, and it's also about expressing yourself in arts, creativity, and charming others. Okay, Venus in the seventh in D1 and own sign in third house in D9. Okay, so seventh Venus is good, but in third house it brings problems. Okay, there is a secret of divisional charts, especially the Navamsha and the Sastyamsha. You should not have planets in the in the Dushtanas. Okay, 6, 8, and 12. All right, you should not have planets in 6, 8, and 12 in the Dushtanas in the Navamsha. Okay, this is not a Dushtana, but third house will bring struggles with relationships, basically. Okay, Venus in the eighth house. Okay, this is great for for creating wealth through joint assets during the dasha, and the native finds a lot of support from the spouse and their family. Okay, and Venus finds passion in treasure hunting. So what is treasure hunting? By treasure hunting, I mean treasure of wealth or treasure of information, knowledge, or sexual encounters. Okay, so this is a period where the native will be aroused by a lot of sexual affairs. Okay, and the native will also find passion in the occult, in the mystical, and somehow the interest may shift towards death and rebirth. Okay, and there is a they will find a deep yet dark way of expressing his or her creative side. Okay, so what I mean by that, so if they are if they are involved in any kind of art or performing art or painting, or or any act of expression and creativity, they might have death and rebirth as a major theme point. Okay, and this is one people come and ask me, what do I do if so that people remember me long after I'm gone? So if you have Venus influencing the eighth house somehow, or if you have Venus present in the eighth house of either D1 or D9 or D60, people will remember you long after you are gone. It could be for a good reason or a bad reason, but the remembrance will be there. Okay. Why does this happen? Because the eighth house is the karaka of the eighth house is Saturn. Okay, and Saturn also represents legacy. Okay, so there is a great passion or a great involvement in creating or building a legacy. Okay, so during this period there will be secret meetings with women, or with men or the opposite gender. Okay. And if Venus is not in good dignity, then the native will have a lot of sexual encounters. Okay. But if it is in very good dignity, for example, if Venus is exalted in, in Pisces in the eighth house, then of course secret meetings will happen, but without the sexual affairs. Okay. And relationship wise too, if Venus is well placed, okay, it will bring about enormous amounts of creativity in the relationship. For example, you may find the couple exploring different ways of, of sexual intercourse. Maybe some will be interested in exploring the ways mentioned in the Kama Sutra. But if Venus is badly placed, then there can be a lot of heartbreaks due to, due to adultery, or due to, what to say, due to lack of trust issues. Yes. Now, the aspect of Venus on the second house, it will show natural passion for vocal skills, for poetry, for being close to the family. And one will find these family ties and the family to be a helping hand in dark times. Okay. And there is a strong chance of receiving inheritances, either by one's own bloodline or from the spouse's family. Okay. Now, Venus in the ninth house. So this will be a time for expansion of one's own ability to see the world with your own eyes. And the native will travel extensively to foreign and distant lands to experience culture, religion, and to expand the ideology that has been, has been there in the native. Okay. And ninth house Venus will make the native expand his or her love energy towards a higher cause. Okay. And there will be a great optimism for pleasure, love, and also a great passion for knowledge, because the ninth house is, it is the house of higher knowledge. Okay. And regardless of whatever the subject is, the native will find their passion in it. Okay. And if Venus is placed in, if Venus is influenced by Rahu, then what happens is this period can make the native interested in meeting someone of a different cultural and ethnic background. Okay. They might end up taking interest in such people. Okay. And if Venus is exalted, then the native will have a lot of bhakti in him or her. So, all in all, this period will be about learning. Okay. If Venus is afflicted, then the learning will be through harsh life experiences. Okay. But if Venus is well placed, then there will be a lot of, learning in a good way, or in a very comfortable way. Now, from the ninth house, Venus aspects the third house. So the native will have a great interest and love towards writing, towards teaching. And sometimes, the native can find himself or herself marketing the word of God and religion to others. Okay. This is a good placement for evangelists and televangelists. Okay. People who profess other religions like Islam and Christianity, either through the spoken word or through television. Yes. And there will also be great interest in interacting with siblings and cousins regarding their travels and how much knowledge have they gained. Okay. So Venus in the 10th house, not a good position for Venus to be in, because any watery planet will cause, finds it, the native will find it very difficult if a watery planet is present in the 10th house. Okay. The native will find it difficult to finish their tasks. And then, because the 10th house is opposite to the 4th house, so Venus becomes dikshunya. All right. So what happens is, this period of Venus can provide great collaborations with people involved in the field of art and creativity. Or if Venus is afflicted, it can cause great disputes with women, in a professional setting. For example, you may end up having a fight with your female boss. Okay. And Venus is the karaka for business, because Venus rules Vanijya Karana. Okay. In the Panchanga, Venus rules Vanijya Karana. So the person will always want to do business. Okay. And that business will be related to Venus. Now, these people, if Venus is not badly placed, you will not be power hungry, but then you will also have a passion for rising in the ranks. Okay. So please, note that passion is not equal to obsession. Okay. What I mean by passion is that you will not mind taking a second place in whatever work you do, but you will be passionate about each step of the ladder you step on. Okay. And this period may also bring about professional encounters, which may turn romantic and even erotic. Okay. For example, some people get caught while having sex in the office. This is a placement. Okay. If the right dasha clicks, or if Rahu is transiting with Venus, it can actually give rise to these scandals. Okay. Now, if someone is looking to get married during this period, then they will always be a lookout for a professional looking partner. Okay. Now, since Venus aspects the fourth house, so this is a period where the native will try to take care of the family members through, through professional life and connections. For example, some family members has a problem or faces a problem, and if the native comes to know about it, then he or she will use her connections in the workplace to solve that problem. Okay. And sometimes, depending on the dignity of Venus, they will seek the comfort of a beautiful home by chasing their passion for career. Okay. There will be some intermixing of home life with professional life. Okay. And that can be bad or good depending on the dignity of Venus. Okay. But, they will, what will happen during this period is the spouse of the native will often find the colleagues of the native at their home. Okay. The native will invite co-workers, or will seek a social environment from the privacy of their own space. Okay. So Venus in the 11th house, what happens is, I've seen this is a good placement for wealth. Okay. But females will always be troublesome for the native. Okay. Even if you are a female, other females will be troublesome for you. So during this period, there will be a sudden increase of network circles professionally as well as on a personal basis. Venus in 10th house makes career in modeling and movies. Depends. Okay, depends on what the 10th house is actually, actually ruling. Okay, but if Venus is in the 10th house from the moon, then of course you will have, you can have a career in modeling and movies. Okay. So there will be a sudden increase of, as I said, there will be a sudden increase of network circles, okay, professionally as well as personally. And mostly, you'll be coming across women in organizations that have women as leaders. Okay. And the native will actually grow in a good way, because the 11th house is a upachaya house. That means houses that grow. Upachaya means something that grows better with time. Okay. So there can be romantic encounters popping up through large organizations, through your network circles, okay, through your meetings and mingling. And Venus will help the native to be recognized and achieve awards in fields related to Venus. Okay. And if the native marries during this period, then they can gain immensely. Why? Because the karaka of the 7th house is in the 11th house. Okay. And if Venus is afflicted, then the native will seek to satisfy his or her sexual desires through many, many people of the opposite gender. Okay. And during this period, the elder sibling will offer great help in fulfilling the native's desires. Okay. And if it is a male native, then the elder sibling can also end up helping them meeting their spouse. Okay. Now, this 11th house Venus aspects the 5th house. So it shows tremendous interest in professional encounters with many people of the opposite gender. Okay. And the desire of Venus is during this dasha is to have children. Okay. And if someone is having this dasha during their teenage, then they will want to, go for an education in business management, event management, or arts. Okay. And the native will be able to express himself or herself creatively through the help of these network circles. Okay. So Venus in the 12th house, excellent position for Venus to be in. Okay, because this is the 12th house represents the higher side of Venus. Okay. So the native will be devoted to a higher spiritual entity and will passionately surrender himself or herself to a spiritual guru, okay, or a spiritual deity. Even if it is not a guru, it could be a deity. Most likely they will meet their guide or mentor or guru in a foreign land. Okay. But then from a relationship point of view, this placement is not good. Okay, because this placement is very spiritual. And why I say it's not good, because during this period, the native will have some unrealistic expectations from the spouse, which may or may not be fulfilled. Okay. And there will be, because it is the 12th house, so there will be a lot of foreign travel due to arts, creativity, or spouse, and and female related issues. Okay. So this is a placement for extremes. Why extreme? Because it can make the native seek too much of bed pleasure if Venus is afflicted, or too much of spiritual pleasure, which may actually end up destroying your relationship with the spouse. Okay, too much of spirituality is detrimental to relationships. Yes, and if Venus is, if Venus is afflicted, then the native might get attracted to, to banned substances like LSD or drugs or marijuana. Why? Because they seek shortcuts to elevate to higher dimensions and the astral plane. Okay, and because Venus is also the karaka for imagination, so the natural imagination of the native will suddenly flourish. Okay, and they will seek work and careers that keep them isolated from the rest of the mundane world. Okay, and there will be a lot of passion for the other mystical sciences like yoga and meditation. Okay, and the psychedelics as well. All right. Yeah, got Diksha at a very early age. So that's how it works. Okay. So it's a very spiritual placement. So Venus aspecting the 6th house, it shows passion and love for, for small animals, the pets, the sick and the underprivileged, and even for servants. Okay. And sometimes, you've seen people falling in love with their servants or co-workers. So this is a placement for that. Yeah. And an interest for spirituality in all my life. Yes, it will be. Because you got this Diksha, so it has opened the door for a lot of spiritual treasure hunting, if I could put it that way. Okay. And one can also try to seek spiritual enlightenment by helping those who seek such a path. Okay, if you, that means this is a placement that believes you cannot get enlightenment alone. Let us get enlightened in a group. Something that Osho did. He created a commune of of supposedly spiritual and spiritually awakened beings. Whatever happened is debatable, but this placement, people having this placement, they firmly believe that enlightenment cannot happen alone. Okay, and this is my 5th house Venus. Great, great. So 5th house Venus, I think she means that Venus lords the 5th house. Yeah. Yes. So it is 8th from the 5th house. Okay. So it means a lot of spiritual gifts are there to follow. Okay. So if you have a diksha in a, in a female deity, it will be good. But even a male deity can help you out, because at the fundamental level, there is no difference. Okay. There is no difference at all between male and female deities. It's all about devotion. Okay. You'll be having a lot of devotion for your guru, as well as for your, for the deity that you worship. Okay. Venus is the planet of devotion. Okay. Okay. Great. So any questions? We'll stop here now. Any questions still here? Okay, we don't. All right then. So we could not have the Kalasarpa class yesterday. So we'll be having it tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Okay, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I'll not 8 o'clock. Sorry, 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock tomorrow. The Kalasarpa class happens at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Okay, and thank you all for joining this class. And I'll be announcing a event where people can actually end up feeling the planets in the body. Okay, how to feel the planets in the body. This is a deep dive into Vedic astrology. People only speak about the planets as if they are external entities, but in reality, the planets are within us. Okay, so it'll be free for all to join. Okay, so it'll be a part of my, my flagship program called Satyam Shivam Sundaram, which I'll be launching in December. So we'll be doing this part of feeling the planets in your body towards the first week of December, or towards the, towards the last week of November. Okay, so watch out for the announcement, and I hope to see all of you there. Okay, all right then. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'll see you next week with another class. Namaste. Om Gurave Namah.